Broadcasting Commission is now working with a stakeholders group, including cable providers, broadcasters, governments, consumers, and the Disabilities Foundation, in order to bring on stream the proposed digital TV switchover in Jamaica, set to begin in 2022 and to be completed in 2023. Now, Jamaicans should expect to see an increase in free-to-air television channel offerings as broadcasters embark on a phased transition from analog to digital transmission. A high-ranking source at the Commission who declined to speak publicly told Mello TV News that today's announcement was not intended to startle anyone. In fact, they will be embarking on a communications program to ensure that citizens are aware of what is happening and that support is provided. He noted that it will be a positive development for the viewer and also for broadcasters in terms of opportunities to create additional content and to be able to compete with the technology companies. A release today from the Office of the Minister of Information, Favour Williams, stated that when the digital switchover is in place, broadcasters will use the ATSC 3.0 digital standard of broadcasting, commonly known as Next Gen TV. Now, this is the world's first fully Internet Protocol IP-based television standard and is considered the most advanced standard globally. We go now to tonight's COVID-19 update, where Jamaica's COVID-19 positivity rate now stands at 7.7%, with 67 new cases of COVID-19 being recorded yesterday, increasing the total of cases now to 91,536. Meanwhile, no additional deaths were recorded, leaving the total of deaths at 2,410. Now, of the new infections, 21 are males and 46 are females, ranging in age from 1 day to 92 years. In tonight's COVID-19 parish breakdown, St. Anne recorded 16 cases, St. James 13, Kingston and St. Andrew 11 cases, St. Catherine recorded 6 cases, Hanover recorded 6 cases as well, Westmoreland recorded 5 cases, Portland and St. Thomas recorded 3 cases each, Clarendon, Manchester, Trelawney and St. Mary recorded 1 case each, while St. Elizabeth has no cases on record for the period. In the meantime, there were 154 additional recoveries, increasing the total of recovered persons now to 63,096. In other news tonight, the COVID-19 Operationalization Task Force is recommending that all eligible Jamaicans be given vaccine boosters now in expectation of a 4th wave of the virus early into the new year. The recommendation is among several made to the government recently in anticipation of a 4th wave early next year. The group met with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health and Wellness recently to indicate its latest recommendations. The recommendations, which also includes a test or vaccinate program for customer-facing public facilities, comes as the world begins to grapple with another COVID-19 variant, Omicron. The COVID-19 Operationalization Task Force, in a release yesterday, provided an update on the status of vaccination efforts in the country and the way forward. The task force, in its latest evaluation, says vaccine levels continue to be very low, with new vaccine demand averaging about 2,000 per day. It further stated that the main barrier to ramping up vaccination levels is no longer vaccine availability, but vaccine hesitancy. The task force also explained that given the very low vaccination rate in the population, the country is at a high risk of experiencing a 4th wave of COVID-19 infections early next year. The task force has recommended the implementation of vaccination booster doses to all eligible citizens. It says the authorities must begin with those brands that have already been approved by the relevant authorities and which are available in large numbers, including Johnson & Johnson. The task force says Pfizer boosters should be introduced once the availability of this vaccine is sufficient and children 12 to 18 years old are fully vaccinated. They also recommended allowing for AstraZeneca boosters as soon as approved by the relevant authorities. Continuing with the news tonight, an investigation is underway in Hatfield, Manchester, following the discovery of the bodies of two men, one of them a district constable, outside a sports bar in the community on the weekend. The district constable has been identified as 53-year-old Dwight Gregory of Miketown, Manchester. He was attached to the Manchester Division. The other man has been identified as 50-year-old Eric Miller, otherwise called Burglar, of Somerset District in the parish. Investigators assigned to the Mandeville Criminal Investigations branch say the bodies of both men were discovered at approximately 10 p.m. on Friday. They were seen on an embankment near the establishment. Both men had been shot. 2 firearms were seized at the scene, an illegal Springfield Smith & Wesson pistol fitted with a magazine containing 12 9mm rounds of ammunition, and a Smith & Wesson revolver containing 4 rounds of ammunition. Meanwhile, as the force once again mourns the violent and sudden loss of one of its members, the High Command is expressing condolences to the family of District Constable Gregory. Still tonight, President of the International University of the Caribbean, ICU, Professor Roderick Hewitt, in a recent interview, addressed the issue of classism in society and how it can affect the growth and development of the country if this is not dealt with correctly. Here is Colleen May with the details.
President of the International University of the Caribbean, IUC, Professor Roderick Hewitt, during a recent interview with our news team, explained that if the issue of class in Jamaica is not properly addressed, this will continue to pose a challenge in our society.
Class will always be a challenge in our Jamaican society unless we are humble, honest, and willing to face it as an issue. When we move from colonialism into the independence era, we did so believing that these things will naturally go away. These things are systemic. They thrive once they are given opportunity to grow. And issues around class, race, color will mutate. If they were very visible in colonialism, in an independent era, they may be a bit submerged, but they are still powerful forces that prevent the development of our people.
Professor Hewitt also said that the Peace Management Initiative needs to be widely embraced, as this should be a part of students' academic need for the development of peace building.
The peace management that currently exists in the society, we need for it to be more widely embraced. And unless our students, for example, begin to embrace peace building as a part of their academic development and their human development, then after a while, especially within the context of our economy is a very dehumanizing economy because it benefits primarily only those people who can access resources based, as I said in my presentation, on class, on sometimes color, and even race. It's not on... Here in Jamaica, that is still a part of the harsh reality. A lot of students still need fresh start, second chance, new beginning in terms of bringing about the change that they require, not only in their human development, but in the communities in which they live.
He also added that private institutions such as IUC has faced serious challenges as a result of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic.
We are a private faith-based institution, and in this COVID era, for example, we're going through serious challenges in how we transform ourselves to meeting the needs of the different communities. But because we do not easily access resources like other institutions that come under the welfare care of governance, we have to do it more cautiously and to be able to depend a lot on the very people that we serve, because we have no future without confidence from the people that we serve. But our research work says this era is very important. That's, for example, our graduates that we place a lot of emphasis on. We check with our employers what are their views of the graduates that we send them. And then, therefore, we are well aware that these must be rounded individuals who don't necessarily leave the institution with just a me-first profit motive. The rest doesn't matter. I can get on in life as long as I step on others to make progress. We help people to realize that I am because we are. It's what the Africans would call the Ubuntu effects of being together. Well, our Jamaican motto says, out of many, one. So it's within that framework of peace building that I am not safe if my neighbor is not safe. And therefore, the peace of my neighbor is also my peace. And that must become inculcated in the academic formation of students.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Thank you, Colleen, for that report. And as we continue with the news tonight, a Browning 9mm pistol and 18 rounds of ammunition were seized during a snap raid along Oliver Road, Kingston 2 yesterday. Reports from the Ellitson Road Police coming into our news center tonight are that at approximately 9 a.m. a yard was searched, which resulted in the illegal weapon and the ammunition being found in a chicken coop. The man has been taken into custody in relation to the find. Investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, a team of officers assigned to the Specialized Operations Branch seized an AK-47 rifle, a 9mm pistol, and 25 rounds of ammunition during a joint police and military operation along Clayton Close in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Saturday, December 4. Reports are that at approximately 5:15 a.m., an operation was conducted at a premises where a person of interest was being sought. The man was found in a car with a pistol and 18 rounds of ammunition. A search of the yard revealed 7 additional 9mm rounds of ammunition. Minutes later, the assault rifle was found wrapped in a towel under a metal container. The man was arrested and taken into custody. However, his identity is being withheld pending further investigations. Still making Mello TV news, the Firearm Licensing Authority's FLA's Chief Executive Officer, Shane Darling, says that the FLA is moving to recover millions of dollars in legal fees from the firearm holders who sued to overturn decisions of the FLA board with respect to the revocation of their gun licenses. This development comes after the Court of Appeal denied a request to reverse the FLA's decision to revoke the license of Robert Ivy. Mr. Darling says he expects to recover approximately $30 million in fees from those individuals who've attempted to sue for having their licenses rescinded.
We never used to have any cases going to court. In fact, when I went to FLA, the number of cases, I believe, were 0. Since we started reviewing the process and finding persons who had criminal convictions and started revoking those licenses, the numbers have risen within that time to about 34 cases in a short space of time. We are looking maybe in the tune at the moment, and given the current cases that are going on, well over 30 million.
At the same time, Darling said that there are approximately 30 more cases before the court, most filed by individuals whose firearm licenses have been revoked by the FLA since it began a review of gun permits in 2017. He has reason to believe that hundreds of gun permits issued to individuals with criminal antecedents may have come about due to corruption. Mr. Darling says the licenses were granted despite proper background checks being done, which revealed their convictions.
I would say this to you and the Jamaican people this morning that those cases, proper background checks were conducted, and all I can conclude is that corruption was a part of the process of them getting those licenses. In one case, I'd like to say to you, there's a gentleman who was convicted in Mandeville for illegal possession of firearm, and he was sentenced 2 years imprisonment or 400,000. And about a year after that, the board gave him, in 2015, a licensed firearm. The board stated that because the judge gave him 2 years, they believed the judge was doubtful of his guilt. It would have been outside the scope because the law does prohibit certain persons from being granted a firearm license. What the law does not do is impose a sanction if it should be done. Well, it was shocking to me because conviction is a conviction. Mm-hmm. A person is convicted after the person has gone through a proper process. And in this particular case, the person had actually pleaded guilty.
Continuing with the news tonight, for the first time, Jamaica's household helpers and fisher folk will be able to secure pension benefits under the National Insurance Scheme, NIS, as the government moves to formalize these sectors. Now, this will be facilitated under the Transition to Formality Action Plan, which will see this segment of workers being able to access health and life insurance, pension, and other facilities to provide them with security and protection in their work environment. The action plan, which was officially launched by Minister of Labour and Social Security, Carl Samuda, during a virtual ceremony recently, is in keeping with the International Labour Organization's ILO recommendation to member states to standardize informal sectors. In his remarks, Mr. Samuda said the launch, which marked a very important time in the history of Jamaica, is significant, impactful, and timely as the government works to improve the welfare of workers in informal sectors.